welcome to this panel. We're talking about scars, body modification, social and self-acceptance. We'll be exploring sort of the psychosocial implications of people who have scars, who are different, who physically look different. And of course, Lola has introduced our panelists, but I'll just tell you what they do very quickly. So Adetutu Alabi here is a dancer, an artist, a model, also an anti-bullying advocate, and she works. She does a lot of work to stop body modification without consent. Adenike Oyetunde over there is also she's a broadcaster and a disability advocate as well. And Chidere Moka is a creative director, and she used to be the former editor of Guardian Life. Where she did incredible work, if I say so myself.
Thank you so much.
So, you welcome, everyone. I think I want to start with Adenike. I think I will go with you first. And you're a cancer survivor. And I just want you to tell us, not about that experience, but particularly about the experience of adjusting to life after being amputated.
Hello. Okay, so my journey took a while, and that precipitated my need to want to immediately just go back to life as I knew it. So I did not have to microanalyze what the future held, what my realities will be. I was just up and about for the very next day. And this is solely because pre-amputation, I had been in constant pain for a long time. So the only logical thing at that point, having heard it earlier, a few months, was to also succumb to the amputation. So adjusting wasn't a big deal because I didn't think about it. But then stepping into that reality held a different was an entirely different ball game. I'm grateful that the people around me did not let me want to worry about what people would think, what people would say, how the society would define me now, how I would look differently. They just wanted me back into the life that I had known prior to the amputation. So my journey doesn't have sour stories of, oh my God, it was hard. But after undergrad, then that reality set in when I had to go for NYSC, when I had to get a car to move around Lagos, when I would have to struggle, fight, argue consistently for special parking in places where you would think that they should know. So that's my reality today, and it's a reality that I have learned to take one day at a time. On the days where I'm not strong enough to fight, I'll just look for where I'll park normally and just take the walk or get a keke or whatever it is. So it's not been difficult because I have learned to choose my battles. On the other hand, because I work with people like myself, the reality is completely different because they do not have the opportunity that I have. And a lot of them are locked up in their homes, do not continue with their schools. Some of them never go back to school and are just there. So it's a two-sided conversation, my own reality and their reality, which is the larger populace.
Thank you very much. Adetutu, we live in a world where beauty is currency, and a certain kind of beauty, which is currency and commodity. And you live with your facial markings. Everybody can see it. I know even as a child in primary school how we always made fun of children with facial markings. I want to know just a little bit about some of your lowest moments and the kinds of experiences you had in terms of being bullied or things people had said to you.
Well, like I said, I do say in my interviews, it all started right from the primary school, and it continued to the secondary school. But when it gets to the secondary school own, my dad was able to ask, like, what is wrong with me? Why am I failing classes? Because he knows it was deliberate. I was just not focusing. It's so bad.
What are some of the things people would say to you? What are the names they call you?
Like, the first question will be, you fight lion? I'm like, okay, this is what you're talking about. Okay, I didn't. They gave me this mark when I was just a week. So you won't even have the opportunity to say how the mark come about. So my lowest moments are not really things I can say physically, but I can write it out. Yeah.
Chidera, you've done a lot of work around advocating for people who are different, who look different. You've done projects on albinism, people with disabilities as well. A lot of the time, we're oftentimes expecting people who are in those situations or people who are marginalized in that kind of way to be the ones to spearhead these projects. What made you decide to take that on?
It's tough. I have a friend. She's an albino, and
Can we hear?
do I need to project? Sorry, guys. Okay, so I have a friend who's an albino, and prior to meeting her, I didn't know anyone that was an albino that was outspoken, that sorry was normal, right? We just don't know about them. We don't speak about them. It's like a complete annihilation of people in Nigeria. And I just realized, like, she's awesome. And not everybody knows that, right? And it wasn't just about her. It was about people that I've seen that are really amazing people, but are being defined by what they look like, what's happening with them. So we did the I Am series. I did it in collaboration with Niyo Kewo and Kaide Idowu. And it was about telling people who you are, regardless of what's happening with you, what you look like. So I think I reached out to you, but you were not available. And we had this awesome girl, Chioma. She literally skipped out of her house to see her friend and had a bike accident. And then she got her knee amputated. And Chioma came in and told me, I'm the most beautiful girl in the world. Like, you can't tell me different. And I get to meet these amazing people every day. One of the greatest people I worked with at The Guardian, Tonya Bakary, that's the online editor. He has a disability with his leg, but that's never stopped Tonya to do what he does every day. So I don't think I was advocating for like a certain group of people, because it's really not just about the people around me. It's about every other person see content like that they can relate to. So I'm a content person and I believe in representation. So if I do see someone that's an albino, my sister that's an albino can say, you know what, that's somebody up there that looks like me and she's on the big screen, so why can't I be there? Or someone that's amputated and living her best life. And so I got a lot of messages from people saying, yo, I didn't know that this was the life these people led. I'm like, yeah, we did not know, and that's why we have to represent them. So for me, it's about creating content that people can relate to and creates positive impact in every other person's life.
I think sometimes when you embark on a project, you start off, you are from the outside in, and you think you know a lot about certain things. What did working with people, you know, who are visibly different, dealing with, living with disabilities or albinism, what did that end up teaching you as a person?
Acceptance. In every way we can see it. We grow up with this bias about a lot of things, about the person that's Yoruba, right? About the person that has scars, about the person that looks like this, about the person that dresses like this, you know? So for me, it's a situation where I learned that I can't define someone just based off how they look on the outside. It's always, and it always has to be about what they are on the inside. Is this person a good person? Do you understand? Like, is this a genuinely good person? Is this somebody that I can work with? Is this someone that's going to give me the best quality of work? So genuinely accepting people, not based off the scars that they have or body modifications, say maybe tribal marks or tattoos or piercings, none of that. Do you come and bring to the table what you're supposed to bring to the table? Yes, fine, let's do it. And that's what I learned, because working in this creative media entertainment industry, you get to meet a lot of people, and if you continue to define them based off what they look like on the outside, you judge a lot of people and you end up working or relating with people that wouldn't add as much impact into your life as you should. So you've marginalized a group of people that could possibly change how you see life and change it drastically.
I love the lots of claps, eh? Nike, we're also living in a society that doesn't, beyond the fact that it's sort of afraid of difference, there's also no infrastructure available for people who are different and who need extra help. And I want to know, like, your experiences of adapting to that, because you've become an advocate in terms of create infrastructure as well, right? Because we oftentimes we don't even think of a basic ramp at a bank.
Hello. So I will start with a story. I spoke at an event about 5 weeks ago, and I had no business talking about disability, but somehow I brought up infrastructure. And when the owners of the facility, one of them spoke, he said that the moment I mentioned it, that he buried his head in shame because they had only newly built ultra-modern restrooms. And nobody had thought about persons with special needs. And that for me is just a reflection of where we are and who we are. It's a lot. Living with disability is really tough. But I feel like when people see me, they oftentimes forget how difficult it is because my personality is optimistic and because I have just chosen to move along. But the reality is that it is tough. I don't know how many people here have seen anyone on a wheelchair use an ATM in Nigeria. That's because the financial institutions do not think we're worthy enough to have ATMs that, can make it accessible for us. And my form of disability is one in the wide spectrum that exists. Braille, I have never seen a building in this country that has Braille instructions. And we see these things even in other African countries. And you wonder if the average, like we like to say, Nigerian has not traveled out, there is a presupposition that our leaders and the policymakers have seen how it works in other places. So why is it difficult? And that influenced my taking the Lagos state government to court. And I remember the lawyer say to me that the essence of the suit isn't to get a judgment. It's basically to make them act. And from the moment that the suit was filed up until the last time it was adjourned, the Lagos State Office of Disability has acted. So the question is, will you act beyond the papers? Will I be able to go to a shopping mall and tell them, you don't have special, like the mall in Lekki has only 2 special parking in the entire parking lot. And they did that because I consistently will go there and shout. It's insufficient to draw a wheelchair on the floor. You have to, erect vertical signages. So, because what that does is subconsciously, able-bodied people see it, and then one day you're somewhere and the person says, oh, my cousin cannot go and see a movie. And you say, no, I actually saw it, they have it. And you tell them why, because you have erected it. I don't need to get to a place and start to explain that, okay, I have crutches, or okay, my daughter cannot, I have to carry my child. It is, I'm trying so hard not to cry, but the truth is, it is really, really hard. You want to register with the Office of Disability in Lagos State, and they tell you you need to get a certification or a paper from a hospital, and you're wondering, are you blind? And that happened to a friend of mine, and just shut him down. So I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people like myself do not have as many opportunities as I have been fortunate enough to have to be vocal about these things. And that is why we have to keep talking about it. Recently, in conclusion, someone reached out to me that an organization was trying to hire for their front desk, and they needed a person living with disability. My first instinct was excitement. Okay, well, somebody is going to get a job. And then I reached out to an Ebon who runs an HR firm. And the first thing he said is, let's get them the job and let's also use this as an opportunity to educate them. Why does a person living with disability have to be the first person I see when I get to your organization? What message are you trying to pass across? What's your intent for doing that? So it's a multifaceted issue, and we always feel separated until it hits home, until our sister, our brothers, our neighbors, even us ourselves have children with special needs, and the things that we have neglected for such a long time, we now go, oh my God, when I was 30, I remember attending so-and-so, and nothing was done about it. A popular bank sponsors a marathon in Lagos. Have you ever been to any of their structures? They do not have an elevator. So it is tough. Yeah. And until Nigerians say, we know you're organizing this marathon, but we will not allow you to do this because you have neglected intentionally or ignorantly this class of people, you will not go on.
Thank you. Susan, you were thrust into the limelight and you went viral with your photo where you asked, you wanted to be a model for Rihanna. And just talking to you and asking you about some of your experiences, and I saw you tearing up that you can't actually speak about it. One of the things that has done as well is going viral also means that you've now become very visible. You've taken on the responsibility, right, of educating people about facial markings. And as I said, you've taken on this big responsibility. But what about your own personal healing? Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, you don't seem like you're even in that space yet. How are you dealing with that while still trying to be an advocate for people? Because oftentimes it's very easy for us to want to help others and ignore our own sort of psychological and emotional mental health.
Thank you. About the healing part, it's just when I need to talk about it that, you feel all what you experienced in the past. But imagine I'm going out and someone, oh, you look ugly with that thing on your face. I don't care about it again. I might say thank you or just go my way. I don't reply in that aspect.
How have you come to a place of self-acceptance?
Well, I think, when I started posting my pictures, I was not really that bold. I was trying to filter out the tribal marks. But my Facebook friends, they were like, I saw that thing on your face. That's why are you trying to cover it up? I'm like, because someone will come to this post to insult me. And they're like, post it, let the person come and insult. And when the person does it, they go in for me, like, try out. So I'm like, oh, they're giving me backup. So the next thing, I post a picture and I drop a comment like, come and abuse me, you will see. So it gave me personal, like, insult me, I don't care, you're not feeding me. So I just go on with that.
They are not paying you money. They can't do anything.
At all. So
Chidera, you work a lot in digital media. You've been a national magazine editor at some points, and she did some really incredible work with LGBT rights. You've done with disabilities, so many amazing things. So she's somebody that I really admire as well. But the thing is, a lot of the work that you're doing is also very much in this digital space, which can be seen as quite elitist and can be seen as a space where, well, people in the grassroots who are burning their children because they're disabled, or who are locking up their child because they have albinism, and who, I remember reading a post on Adenike's page, somebody saying, I'm tired, I'm taking my child into a home because I can't look after this child anymore. I mean, those people are not seeing any of this. And I wonder how you feel in terms of, do you think that the work you're doing is impactful enough? Or do you feel like after a while you're just speaking to an echo chamber, preaching to your own choir?
I think content distribution is really hard in Nigeria, like, first of all, because we don't have the right channels to reach everybody, unfortunately. I remember doing the LGBTQT cover, and working with the Guardian was the only way I could expressly speak to the traditional people that would pick up the the magazines, because Daddy bought the newspaper, and for me it was about those people as well, because with the Guardian we could do 360. You had the newspaper, you had the magazine, so somebody would pick up paperback, and then you had social media, you had the website, somebody would do that. But with my own platform, it's a little bit hard because I'm the one doing that. I'm fronting it, I'm producing it. And the resource I have, unfortunately, can only make me do that via digital media. Very few organizations are going to tell you, let's put that story up on our magazine, or let's do that in a newspaper, because they don't want that sappy story of strength. Because for me, I don't want you to see them as people that have been, down and out. Somebody will want to carry it because it's like clickbait. Let's see how this person's story has gone viral. But everybody that I've worked with is strong AF. So I'm not going to put them in that light. And it's sad that that particular form of the media that I can reach do not necessarily appreciate the kind of work that I do. Am I speaking to just my own ecosystem? No. I literally do not see myself as anything in the grand scheme of things. So when someone tells me they saw something on my website, or they looked at my YouTube channel, or they saw this on my social media page, I'm actually ecstatic, because it's moving beyond the people that I know. Left to the people that I know, I don't think I'll be able to get the feedback when I say I want to do another project. So I try to make sure that it's not just like part of my ecosystem. People that I work with are always very quick to share their stories. So you see that it goes way beyond just me. Their friends share their stories. When I put it up on my website, somebody came, there's this really amazing gentleman. I saw him yesterday, Edwin. He had, his hand was amputated. And on my website, people kept on commending him from Benin, people that had been with him in university, people that knew about him from secondary school. That's not my ecosystem, So at the end of the day, it goes beyond the people that I know and the ecosystem that I've created with like my own content network. So I don't think I am. I wish I could do more like what with other organizations, maybe media organizations, to reach people, say through radio, through newspapers, magazines, to show people in the light that they want, like just represent a particular class of people so that it's highly represented and you understand that, okay, this person isn't whatever I've thought about this person, she's actually a human being like myself. I can relate to her, I can work with her, she's my friend,
From a media professional's perspective, why is our society so afraid of difference? And difference from a both intentional place and unintentional place. So we talked about facial markings, we talked about physical disabilities. But also people have tattoos, decide to pierce their bodies, body modification that is consented and intentional as well.
Man, I don't know. I'm actually very serious. I don't know why we're scared. I think it's ignorance, and sometimes we like to bask in it. I have like so many piercings, and at the end of the day, people just think, where's Auntie Lola? Let me ask if I can say bad bitch. But literally, that's all they think about. And then when they talk to me, it's like, you're actually a serious-minded person. I'm like, what did you think? I am serious. I take myself seriously, but I think it's ignorance. A lot of people do not understand. And I'll use a personal experience. When I did my second piercing, my mom's best friend did it for me. And it went by because it was my mom's best friend. When I did the third one, she's like, what's going on? Is it this entertainment industry that you're in? I'm like, no, I just actually like piercings. And then I did my nose one. She says entertainment. I say no. I just like piercings. And when I did the tongue one, everybody in my house was like, she's going to kill you. You're going to move out of this house. I'm like, okay. And she asked me why. And I said, because I felt like it. And I promise you, everybody in my house will tell you I can get away with murder with my mom. But my mom has understood that it doesn't take away from the person that I am. I am hardworking. I'm amazing. Like every day she looks at me and she's like, I'm super proud of you. And none of my aunts can come and ask me questions like, I'll be there like, your sister have not finished asking it. You can't come near me. Like you literally can't, because it doesn't take away from who I am. And if my mother is able to learn that, my sisters are able to learn that. Like they don't define me based off any of the things, because they've seen the work that I do. They've seen the passion behind everything that I do. And that's what defines me. So I feel like for the media, it's because It's actually run by a couple of ignorant people in certain places. And so they're not trying to preach the new level of difference. Like, I worked in a traditional media organization. They did not understand the way I dressed. They did not understand the way that I had my piercings. And when you see the work that I do and my friends, you're like, nah, that's just a bad person. But that's not a representation of myself or my friends or the people that I've worked with. And what I made sure that I did in every organization that I've entered into is make sure that you do not define this person based off of this. Do they deliver? So it's a ripple effect for myself. Working in the media, like having people like you as well, you take them out of their ignorance with your work, with what you do. You don't dumb down any of the things. I'm not removing my nose piercing just to please you. And I'm going to get another one. It might annoy you. It's the honest truth. Because once we start dumbing down, we continue to feed their ignorance. We continue to tell them it's okay to accept us based off your standard. That's annoying.
So we just live and they have to take it however we give them, Abby.
So give
If
or
we don't
take.
give them... I didn't hear. I remember when I first met you. You were using prosthesis for a while, and I remember you would even go to America because as you grow, whether it's in weight or in height, you have to change your prosthesis. And there was this point that it felt deliberate that you disposed of the prosthesis. And was that an issue of self-acceptance for you? Was that an issue of saying, I don't want to hide anymore? What was the reason for that? Because you've been using your crutches for at least 5 years now? Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I just woke up one morning and I got tired. But I was conflicted as to whether it was in my head, whether there was something wrong with the prosthesis. So I went to Igbobi, and I remembered the mage with the prosthesis saying, so what's wrong with the leg? And I said, I don't know, but I just have a feeling there's something wrong with it. So he collected it from me, and then I don't think he did anything. He just went...
We just need to tell people, Igbobi is the orthopedic hospital.
Goodness. Yes, the National Orthopedic Hospital in Lagos is called Igbobi. I keep forgetting they're international people here.
We're international.
So he took it, and then a few minutes later, he returned to me and said, I know how when you got it, you were very particular that you didn't want anyone in Nigeria to touch it. So I did not open it. That I feel like your mind is what's playing tricks on you to make you think that there's something wrong with it. And then he looked at me and said, are you tired of wearing it? And I said, yes. And he said, then stop wearing it. Prior to that, first time I ever showed up at work without my prosthesis, the first person who saw me, though apologized later, said, I prefer you with your prosthesis. And I looked the person straight in the eye and said, I really don't care I remember very well. So I ascended the flight of stairs, and the next person I saw gave me a very tight hug and did not ask me anything. And when she was about to let me go, she said, I know that you're breaking something in your head. Until days, that's why Alera is very special to me. And I said, yes, I am. And that was the start of that phase where I got tired. Because what I realized was I had to accept that no matter the technology a white man does for you, even when some people don't even like the invasive ones where they attach them to your nerves, they just feel like it's too invasive. The type I had to have a belt around my waist because mentally I still couldn't walk with it. I always thought I was going to tilt over. So my prosthetist said, you know what, let's put a belt around you. It gives you a sense of security, and that was how I'd always learned to walk. And when that happened, I knew that it was simply aesthetic. And I had to understand that for every woman who has more than 1 week, there are days that you want to wear it, and there are days that you do not want to wear it. So I started to alternate the days I would not wear my prosthesis to work, and then one day I just stopped to wear it completely. Somehow, society expects that every amputee's trajectory automatically leads to getting a prosthetic limb. So I had to meet people outside of my environment who were exposed to and who were born in places where had advanced technology, who told me, looking me in the eyes to say, I was amputated as a child and I have never owned a prosthetic limb. It is okay not to want one. And when I got there, I knew that I had peace. But one of them also did tell me that she feels very strongly that it's a phase, and that she would advise me that when I think that I'm getting to the end of that phase, I can get a prosthetic limb. The days I feel like wearing it, cool. The days I do not feel like wearing it, that's equally cool. And that is where I am gradually gravitating towards. So it was basically me accepting me, not waiting for the society to define the wholeness of who I was with my prosthetic limb, because somehow people actually forgot that I was amputated. Quite a number of people knew, oh, she had a limb, oh, she had a bump in her hip, but they didn't know what it was. So it was a rude shock for a number of people. So I had to accept that reality, to understanding that this is who I am. And once the society can register in her conscious state that Adenike has one leg, and if you see Adenike with two legs, it's equally the same Adenike that you have known.
Adeti, so you do a lot of, you are doing work around stopping body modification without consent. And it's interesting that, you know, your rise to fame was on social media. And so I'm assuming you're working with the grassroots. And how are you able to sort of translate moving sort of your fame or your popularity from the internet to sort of to the ground? And are they listening to you?
Yes. Because apart from being a model, I'm also a tambour beading artist. I bead on fabrics. So my job takes me around the states in the country. So most times I get to visit Ibadan, and that is where they do it most. So after class, I get to, I tell my host, please take me around. I need to see some things. Because I already have a plan to go and check where they still do this. So when I see her, I'm like, I say a child, come. What? Who did this to you? He says, obviously it's the parent. So I'm like, let me see your house. So I'm like, I talk to the mother that, Shelley, stop, as in tell your husband to stop, because it has bad effects on us by the time your child leaves Ibadan to a city like Lagos, because the impact will not be so. She said she knows that it's going on now. I said, so can you tell your husband? The ones I see with tribal mark, children I see with tribal mark in Lagos, I call them, where's your house? The one I'm chance to visit, I go and talk to the mother. That, have you stopped or you are still doing it? So most of them are stopping now because I tell them, see, it's not sweet again. Yes, that's the truth. It's not like when they say, oh, low long color in Yoruba, they say it's the rich people that get the tribal mark. No, it's not rich people at all. I'm not rich yet. True now. I'm not rich yet. Why do you give me tribal mark without my permission? So don't give the child. Let the child grow up and choose whatever tattoo they want on their body. So I can get to talk to parents because I have to just speak the language to them and they get it. No, stop this. We don't want.
I think it's very interesting that we're all women on the panel, and perhaps this is why I'm going to ask this particular question. One of the things with you know, your body being different, because as a woman, your body is very much a commodity in the world and specifically in this country. There are certain kinds of bodies that are acceptable. There are certain kind of bodies that are desirable. There are only certain kinds of bodies that are attractive. And I want to know how your experiences with desirability and either living with facial markings, with being an amputee, what that's like. And also from the stories you've heard from the projects that you've worked on. So maybe we'll start with you.
Wow. Okay, so I feel like my disassociating myself, using that word for my prosthetic limb, gave me a newness to whom I am and the wholeness of my body. In 2016 or so, I did a photo shoot, and it was just supposed to be a playful something, just come, show up. And then she had also told me that she wanted me to wear a swimwear. I told her, I was vehemently against wearing two-piece. I'm like, no, let's do it small, small. So it was a one-piece. I know.
Gradually.
It was a one-piece. And we did the photo shoot. And that picture will forever remain one of my best decisions ever. Because what it did for me was that it made me realize the power that I still carried in what my body is, amputated. So that translated to my relating with the opposite sex. I'm naturally a semi-nudist. So I have never had a problem. I went to an only girls secondary school where if you ever went there, you just moved around freely and no one had an issue with you. So I'd never had a problem with owning my sexiness or sexuality, as the case may be, and it really hasn't affected me. I don't see, except I don't want to wear whatever it is. I still haven't done that two-piece photo shoot, but I have a two-piece swimwear. Yeah. So it hasn't stopped me, but it has made me appreciate more who and what my body can do in this state now. Disassociating myself, second time I'm using the word, from the definition of what the society has termed desirous. So I don't have a problem with what my body is. I am actually set. I know it by myself. Yes. I just use this big cloth to cover it. People that don't know. So yeah, really, that's what it is.
Just a small humble brag, Abby. Just like I'm hot. Take it. All right, Titu.
Me, I think everybody knows I'm a proud nudist. Yeah, like I flaunt it. Forget the tribal marks. I can decide to walk naked. Yeah. I don't care. I don't. Whenever I take. Because I have this habit of taking my pictures to tell myself, girl, you are beautiful. Forget this tribal mark, you are beautiful. So whenever I take my nudes, I'm like, oh, damn it. So, I don't have any.
Wait, is it just me, but I feel like next year, okay, we need a nude booth, right? I mean, it's gonna be, maybe we'll call it like the liberation space. Safe space, guys. Just like, we're taking off our clothes and we'll have a photographer just, do our thing. And we keep copies, frame meets. Chidera.
I don't know how I'm supposed to answer this.
I mean, just, what are some of because I know that with a lot of the projects you've worked on, whether they're video projects or photography, and you spoke about your friend who is albino as well, I'm sure you've heard stories and people have talked about either not feeling desirable or feeling like a fetish or, whatever. What kinds of stories have you heard?
Nothing bad, actually. It's the reason why I feel like representation is very important, because for these people, they are all awesome people. They don't see themselves as different, right? So for my albino friend, she's in music videos. She's working on runways, and that's showing how comfortable she is in her body. Chioma that I spoke about, that's an amputee, her boyfriend was the one that reached out when we were doing the project. He said, my girlfriend is amazing. You need to do this with her. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. And he came with her. And it's like, this is the person I'm talking about. And I saw the way he was around her. If she didn't carry herself as such, nobody's going to be around her. If she felt like she was less, people would treat her like less. Unfortunately for the world, everybody that I've worked with is super amazing and doesn't treat themselves as any less than that. I've done more than ink and locks, where I've had girls and boys with tattoos and dreadlocks, and these people felt like the next thing better than sliced bread. So for me, there was no bad story. There was no sad story, because they were amazing people. They projected themselves as such, and the people around them just ate up that confidence as well.
With the advocacy work that you're both doing, have you seen, what are some of the, with the advocacy work that you're both doing, have you seen any difference in terms of how we're looking at people, with physical differences, how we're understanding it, how we're navigating it, how we're creating room and creating space? I mean, from the work that you're doing personally, I'll ask you that as well.
Absolutely, and I'm going to own it because it was something that I would shy away from for such a long time. Now, the picture I said earlier was just a picture I posted, and I know the number of messages I have gotten from across the world. People telling me how they are citing me automatically just made them go buy a swimwear, learn how to swim, wear the sleeveless outfits, And I was just wondering, I'm just in my little corner doing what I know that is good to liberate me. So it has completely taken my advocacy to a different level because I am leaving what, so-called motivational speakers say. I am that one person who is living beyond the impossibilities. I'm the one, there's no amputee in Lagos that wants to move on with their life that I don't know. Chema, she talked about, is my smallie. Iwi is my buddy. And these are people who I reached out to because I understood that there was power in coalition where we can reach out to other people to say, you need to own your difference. You need to own and celebrate the fact that, oh yeah, you have, there's a little boy I have, he doesn't have all fingers. And she said what has made the work easier. I would always tell people that if you're fortunate enough to father or mother children or be guardians to children, you are their first point of self-awareness and self-esteem. The person who has defined the fullness of who it is that I am is my father. The first person to tell me that I was beautiful was my father. I did not need any man to tell me. I would mess around with you to say it, because yeah, it makes me feel good. But I know that even if you don't say it, I am beautiful. So thank you very much. So yes, the advocacy is going far. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. And I feel very strongly that until the society starts to redefine what she has coined as beautiful, we're still going to have a group of people who are just locked in a place because of the different scarrings or markings or differences that their bodies carry. So yes, that's the work that I'm doing.
And have you seen any visible changes since, with all the work that you've been doing?
Yes, because formally, not all photographers will want to work with me. But Rihanna came and everybody wants to take pictures. True.
You've made Tribal Max cool now.
Yeah.
The cool kid.
I'm the cool kid of the model with the tribe. And the tag is there now. Model with the tribal marks, okay? Yeah. Everybody wants to work with model with. So now I just have to, what do you really know about the tribal man? Not just for pictorial effect. What do you know? What do you think I'm trying to pass? Even makeup artists, don't try and conceal my marks. I've been begging them for that. Stop concealing. I still saw a video trending just last week. I inboxed the girl there. Did she ask you to conceal the marks? She said she's a tribal marks model concealer. I said, I said, okay, just stay there. I don't have much to say. Before they say tutu is controversial. So I just left it. So it's cool now.
Just before we go to the audience, I didn't care very quickly. Is there a burden of being an inspiration?
Yes. So for anyone who watches Red Table Talk like I do, Alicia Keys addressed it, and it's been circulating. The world put me on a pedestal where I felt very cool to be superwoman and superhuman. But I have come down from that pedestal. I am not your superwoman. I'm allowed to be vulnerable, and I'm allowed to cry. I'm allowed to sit on platforms like this and panels like this to say, living with disability is hard work. Living with disability is tough. And I understand the power of influence. And I know that there are two different things, but the society needs to unburden people like myself with that responsibility of being your patron saint for strong active, powerful. I am so done, and I am not inspiring anybody again, honestly.
All right. Please, do we have any questions for our wonderful guests and panelists? Somebody here and some lady there. Is there any roving microphone, please? Hello? They're bringing a microphone. Okay, there was a lady here, and okay, let's just go with the lady there first. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sin. I run CCTNG. My question is to three of you. Now, there's one thing about Nigeria in Nigeria called sensationalism, where when one person becomes the star or the face of a movement, they use that person till death. I saw the picture you were talking about. It trended like 2 years ago, and since then it has been you. Adetutu is my Facebook friend as well, and when I think Rihanna followed you back, and since then you've been in Budweiser videos, Bet Niger, you've been everywhere. And Chidera, of course, went to Unilag together, the same set and all. Chidera has worked in Guardian. Now I'm trying to say is it just you guys? The elitism Wana talked about earlier, has the focus just been on you guys as regards other people who need this help? Is there a way that those who are not in the limelight are also enjoying the attention or the help you guys are presently getting?
Amazing question. So, when people reach out to me, I say in the last year and a half, I don't do everything. I have built a community and still building a community of persons like myself. But what I found out that a lot of them are not ready to talk. A lot of them are not willing to be pushed. And who am I to push them? So I'm not going to stop the conversation from taking place because I haven't found some other person who is willing to take up that responsibility. Chioma, she mentioned, I met her father. I met Chioma's father. Chioma's father brought Chioma to meet me. And that conversation changed her life forever. Why? Because Chioma has now been pushed into a different space where she has owned her story, and she's now sharing her story. So I will be the one who goes around to propel people to say, I'm not doing it. And I'll tell people, are you not tired of seeing me? And somehow I've been able to determine the intent when people come. Some people just want to do tokenism, and I stop at it, and I'll tell you point blank, no way. If you want me as a person, I would check to a very reasonable extent. I can't know it in its entirety, but you can tell when people are so, you will know that these ones just want to tick that, oh, we use people with special needs, and I stop there, and I will not even refer you to anybody. But once I see that you're someone who we've met, our stories are identical, and you're ready to share your story with the world, by all means, at Tokyo on Bella Nigeria, I have referred so many other people to them. And because it's not about me as a person, it's about the fact, like I said earlier, I'm fortunate to have the platform. How about I talk about it and open the world to the reality of these group of people? So, yeah. Does that help?
Okay. Can I talk? Yeah. Okay, concerning people that have come to me that also have tribal marks, like they are trying to come out to just like I'm doing. Most of them, the next question they give to me is that I will also want to be a model. I say, go ahead. Because me, I'm a freelance model and I'm not under any management or anybody. I just made up my mind that because they said I can't be a model with the tribal mark, I will do it. So if you want to be a model, there are several modeling agents. I refer some to modeling agents. Go or just Google up how to be a freelance model, if that's what you want. But about being bold, post your picture and don't reply to the trolls. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel.
Driver and you're parked outside. You need to go get your car right now and get it parked inside. Thank you.
Okay, so what I just want to say is I don't think everybody's destined for the limelight, and I don't think maybe like Adetutu or Nike decided that, you know what, I want to be in the limelight. They literally just live their truth, and they would inspire other people to live their own truth. So yes, there are great people that would benefit from the fact that they are should I say, pioneers in the movement, but it doesn't restrict it to these people. As long as every other person is encouraged to live their truth, you will see more stories, you will hear about more stories. Just because they're the first doesn't mean that they're going to be the last. I think that's literally it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. This was such an inspiring and informative panel, so thank you. I wanted to ask you, Adetutu, and you, Chimera, with facial markings, it is so attached to West African culture. How do you feel that, are you against it because of the abuse and the ignorance that you suffered, or are you against it for just because, I mean, I want to sort of unpack that a little bit more, because I feel like, as you were mentioning, in Ibadan, people are fine with it with their kids, but then when you come to the city, there's a whole sort of looking down upon it. And I wonder if maybe instead of, I mean, it's a different issue, talking about sort of like non-consensual changing of someone's body, but are we privileging this other idea of what is beautiful over our own traditional experiences? And then I wanted to sort of, jumping off of that, Chimera, you talked about, is your name Chimera?
No, it's just like she keeps
Sorry.
saying it wrong.
Chidera.
Chidera, I'm so sorry.
fine.
Chidera, I'm so sorry. I wanted to ask you because there is also a tradition in some parts of West Africa of tattooing, of piercings, of other scarification. And I'm just curious how you have dealt with the fact that it's sort of like, it's so ironic that the older generation looks down on it when it's coming from the past. So just wanted to ask you about that.
Okay. So a recent project that I did, more than ink and locks, it was in reaction to the BBC Pidgin article where the police said, oh, tattoos and dreads is not in our culture. I'm like, since when? Sorry, since when? And unfortunately, I don't mean to start anything, but I think it's just a religious bias, okay? Like, it just came, and we removed everything that was part of our culture, you know? So when we were talking to her about, like, the tribal marks and body modifications, Kenya and a couple of other countries, like, they literally go deep with body modifications and scarifications, and it's part of their culture. It's initiation. It's part of their right. You know, it defines who they are as a people, and we keep on seeing it differently. I agree with her. It should be consensual. Like, I can't be 1 week old and decide if I want to have tribal marks. What if I don't? What if I wanted a piercing instead? Do you understand? I mean, so it's something that should be like, the individual should have consent over their own body, and that's why I agree with her. But unfortunately, society has defined what beautiful is. Like, I see tribal marks, and I think they're beautiful. I did not always think they were beautiful. When I was small, we'll run away. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So, like, we have to define our own standards of beauty based off our culture. And unfortunately for us in Nigeria, I would say we do not even understand what our culture is. If we think tattoos are bad, if we think piercing is bad, but, you know, somebody in the north has it and we're like, she's cute. So it's very important that we go back to basics. We understand our culture. We understand who we are as Africans. I think that would help us align on what acceptance is for us as a people in terms of beauty and a lot of other things. Yeah.
I wanted to say that, to add to that, I think this also sort of leads to a whole different conversation about religious colonization, tattooing as actually indigenous practices before sort of Western appropriation of tattooing practice as well.
Okay, to your question. As a 1 week, sorry, I might have to be a full Nigerian, but I'm asking a question with a question. Yeah, I'm sorry. As a week-old child, can you talk? No. I want you to ask me, do you want this? And I'll answer you yes. But they gave it to me without my permission. Why? I didn't send you. That is it. That is what, you know, there are lots of things children want to say. Like, you need to ask me, not when we get to being adults before we ask for permission. That is consent. Like, it's part of the culture, fine. The Alafin of Oyo, it doesn't do it on the children's face again. It's on the body now. I follow through all his queens. I follow their pages to see how they continue the cultural practices. They do it on the body. I see the big lines, like incisions. No, not on the face. Because these days, how do they put it? New sets of, let me say, 90s kids. Sorry, I'm 80s. They are like, what is this? It's disgusting. Someone has told me I'm repulsive because of it. I just have to unfriend the person on Facebook for my sanity's sake. Like, okay, I'm repulsive, then take me off. If you can't do it, I can help you. So that is it. The consent must be there, but it's cultural practice. Do it when I want it. That is it. I'm not saying they should scrap it. No, it's African thing. That is it. Thank you.
I think we have time for just one more question. Two. So if we can take the two, but please be very sharp and sweet with it. All right. Thank you.
Hi, so my question is directed to Chidera. So in university spaces, Nigerian universities, we have like this prejudice against students, that we have prejudice against students with dreads and some other, like, okay, someone was told that he can't write an exam because he was wearing face cap. Or if you, let's say they want to talk to you, they're like, Dadato and Ben, like that person that is with Dada, like those micro aggressions, like, you know, they don't mean, and I'm like, he said, he's Dada now, we can call him by that. Those little things, like, and it's a university, what can you do to like, because university is like a formative years, so what can you do if you're doing awareness and then it's not getting to them, especially the lecturers? So that's my question.
Thank you. I think it starts with you as an individual. My friend that's an albino is someone that will work together and I'll hear Afin, Obobo, I will fight you. She won't do it. She's over it. But I will take it up and I'll tell you that's wrong. Don't do that. So it starts with you, right? It starts with educating the people around you. And once people see that, okay, the society is changing and how they see this, you're able to educate your lecturer, and your lecturer is able to educate the other person. It's about conversations. I think like conversations are very important. So start it whichever way you can in university with the ecosystem that you have, and you'll see how it's going to change within that environment. Soon it will be able to go into the school policies because that's how his hair is. Literally, my hair grows out like that. Right? Yeah.
Okay,
Last question.
My question is, you know, when you want to relate with people who have disabilities, it's always difficult to trying to convince them that your intentions are good. I've been in a situation where I wanted to help someone cross the road, but she became aggressive. I don't know. So is there a special way you can relate with them just for them to know that you don't have any other motive or something?
Unfortunately, it's because of practice, culture, and lifestyle. So it makes it kind of hard for you who has a clear intent of assisting someone with special need to get to the other side of the road. So I feel like your responsibility, as you describe now, is to just show love to that person. Your seed has been planted. It need not change when it has to do with you. It might take that person 10 other interference, 10 other, what do you call that thing?
Encounters.
Thank you. 10 other encounters for them to understand that genuinely not everyone who reaches out to you has an ulterior motive. And that takes us back to what she said. It begins with you. You know, it's semantics, for instance. A lot of people living with special needs don't like to be called persons living with disability. Or don't come in with a person living with disability. And as an individual, I really don't care. But I would always say to people, if in doubt, nothing stops you from asking them, how would I address you? That way, the person understands that you want to relate with them how they expect that people will relate with them. So if you can tell the person, my genuine intent is to help you get to the other side. And the person says, no, leave the person alone. It might take them forever, but eventually, like I stated, the 10th encounter will probably change their experience. Because crossing roads is not being, double express road for fully bodied people in a state that doesn't even have you ever wondered how people living with disability cross those roads where there are no,
Pedestrian bridges.
even when there are overhead bridges?
Yeah.
How do you expect them to ascend? Our problems are multifaceted.
I was going to say, we see zebra crossing as tom-tom sign. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. You've been an amazing audience. Please give yourselves a round of applause.